A vampire who has been imprisoned for 200 years is released back to his ancestral home and intends to take revenge on the witch who loved him and reclaim the family estate. Barnabas is a manor owner. The maid falls in love with him. But Barnabas rejects her because he was in love with the girl Winters. But he didn't know that the maid was a witch. She did not get a response from Barnabas, so in a fit of rage she killed Barnabas' parents and pushed Winters off a cliff. Then she turned Barnabas into a vampire and sealed him in a coffin. Barnabas' coffin was dug up by a construction crew. 200 years later, after Barnabas came back to life, he found his family's old house. It turns out that his family still has descendants. Here are his lovely niece and handsome nephew, and their mother Elizabeth. Barnabas is determined to revive his family and break the witch's lies. But Elizabeth doesn't believe he's her relative until Barnabas opens the family's secret passage. The secret passage was filled with gold and gems. Elizabeth was forced to admit that Barnabas was her great-great-great-grandfather. More importantly, Barnabas discovered that the governess here looked exactly like the girl he loved. His long, dormant heart beats again. The witch also learns that Barnabas has been exhumed. The two old lovers finally meet. The man was kissed by the witch as soon as he came back to life. She found that Barnabas still tasted the same even after 200 years. This witch not only did not die but also became the richest in town. She took over all the Barnabas property. Barnabas was angry, but he couldn't fight because he couldn't win against the witch. So he went to renovate his old factory first. Then he went back to his old fishing business. Barnabas started to fall in love. When his business got going, Winters was in his face every day. He must have made up for the 200 years of dating he owed her. But as soon as he started to fall in love, he was targeted by a witch again. In a place that the witches have occupied and ruled for 200 years, how difficult is it for him to open up new industries on his own? But he constitutes the witch after all. The witch has always loved Barnabas. Once she took off her clothes, the desire was unstoppable. They started a game of love in the office. On the other hand, Winters and Barnabas are getting closer and closer. Winters told him a secret. She has been able to see ghosts since she was a child. But her parents thought she had a problem and she was sent to a mental hospital. But Winters managed to survive. Barnabas made her feel warmer than she had ever felt before. So the two of them kissed naturally. Unfortunately, the witch saw this scene. She is a real green-eyed monster. Barnabas wants to become a normal human more and more so that he and Winters can walk in the sunlight. Normally he goes to the witch and begs her to turn him into a human. But the witch threatened him saying, either you stay with me and become my lover, or I'll put you in a coffin and sleep with Thumbelina. For hundreds of years, Barnabas was imprisoned by the witch in a coffin, but this time he was rescued by his nephew. The nephew had been following him, so he found the place where the coffin was kept. At this time, the witch was telling the police about Barnabas' murder. The police came to arrest Barnabas and his family, who had committed the crime of harboring him. The whole town came out to see what was going on. Barnabas had to reveal the identity of the witch in front of the crowd to save himself and his family. The two of them are arguing their own case. Who should the police believe? Since talking won't decide the winner, they have to fight. Whoever wins is right. At this critical moment, the guardian spirit of the Barnabas family rushed out. The witch flew into the sky, but by the time she fell again, she was almost dead. Barnabas looked at the quiet witch, but a little uncomfortable. Before she died, the witch pulled out her heart with her hand. But Barnabas did not accept her heart. This touching love in the end only touched the witch herself. 200 years later, the witch repeats her previous act of hypnotizing Winters and making her walk to the cliff. But Barnabas saved her this time because Winters came back to life with a bite from him. The two vampires began to live happily ever after. You can subscribe and leave comments if you have any ideas. Thanks for watching.